elements factor carrying the factor 8. So just imagine if there's an injury, all these coagulation factors will go out from the site of injury along with the flow of blood. So something has to hold these coagulation factors and platelets at the site of injury so that they can start acting and plug the breach. So just imagine if it's an arterial wound, these coagulation factors will be actually flying out. So this is to be magnified. So platelets are taken out by the flow of blood and they want to bind to the collagen, but the flow of blood takes it away. And that addition is done by this great protein called von Willebrand's factor. It's a large protein. One monomer of von Willebrand's factor is 2050 amino acids. It's a large. Like alpha globin and beta globin is 141, 146. This is 2050 amino acids. And in the blood it circulates as a multimer of about 20 to 40 moieties, monomer moieties of von Willebrand's factor. But in the blood, in a normal blood, it is rolled up like a cotton ball. That's because the active part of von Willebrand's factor is hidden inside because anything that is exposed, which is the active part of von Willebrand's factor, it will start binding platelets, which happens in conditions like TTP and gain of function mutation like von Willebrand's type 2B. So what is outside is actually the A3 part, which has got a natural affinity for collagen. Of course, we know that collagen is not normally exposed in the blood vessel. So von Willebrand's factor is a factor which is not produced by the liver. But there is something called a von Willebrand's factor homeostasis. You see, von Willebrand's factor is produced by the endothelial cells and megakaryocytes. However, the proteolysis, the homeostasis involved proteolysis and clearance of von Willebrand's factor to maintain a plasma level of von Willebrand's factor. Now, if you look at the von Willebrand's factor homeostasis, ADAMTS13 is produced by liver and von Willebrand's factor clearance is done in the hepatic sinusoidal endothelial cells. So if you look at von Willebrand's factor homeostasis, 70% of the homeostasis of von Willebrand's factor is handled by the liver. So now look at von Willebrand's factor, it finds collagen. The A3 part of von Willebrand's factor will roll out because each moiety will start binding to collagen, and after it binds, it rolls out like a carpet and it exposes the A1 part of von Willebrand's factor, which attracts the platelets. So now you have the platelets going, and suddenly it finds something it wants to bind to, but the flow of blood takes it away. But every time it tries to bind to the A1 part, it is able to develop resistance. Enough resistance that finally it can stop, spend some time with the glycoprotein, the A1 part, and finally bind and get activated with the process. Just imagine if the von Willebrand's factor did not have enough multimers. By the time it is able to develop resistance, it flows out, which happens in a type of von Willebrand disease called the absence of multimers called the type 2A. So now you have the platelets completing the platelet addition through glycoprotein 1B. It gets activated in the process and it attracts more platelets by procoagulants that it secretes, and it actually does the platelet aggregation. So if you look at the platelets, there you can see it's round. The red membrane is the outer membrane, the black membrane is the inner membrane. You can see that the outer membrane goes inside when the platelets are activated and the inner membrane goes outside, which is a flip-flop mechanism because the outer membrane has got the procoagulant phospholipids. So this is called a flip-flop mechanism. The granules of the platelets come to the center. The glycoprotein 2B3A comes together and the granules of the platelets are secreted out through the canaliculi from the center, and you have most of the coagulation factors expressed on the surface of the platelets. By this process of platelet aggregation, it forms the primary platelet plug. Primary platelet plug is actually enough to stop any type of capillary bleed, for example, a needle stick injury. But if you start playing around with it, it starts bleeding again. So it needs a cement to make it strong, and that cement is the fibrin, which is produced by but it actually helps form a good platform because factor 8, factor 5, fibrinogen and factor 11 are already in the platelets. So the factors which are not in the platelets are the vitamin K dependent factors, 2, 7, 9 and 10. Now vitamin K actually allows the gamma carboxylation of the glutamic acid residues. So just imagine if these are the glutamic acid residues, it adds an extra carboxyl group. By adding an extra carboxyl group increases the negative charge on the vitamin K dependent factors. So when there is a lot of negative charge, it binds to a positive charge, which is calcium in the coagulation system. So it strongly gets attracted to calcium. Now because it binds to calcium, the strong